Welcome back to Moon Harbor Heroes. Today's issue is Cataclysm Crew, issue 26, Sons of SABRE. On the cover, the Sword and Taranis stand, back to back, in heroic poses. All around them, armed prisoners rush towards them, aggressive. We turn the page, and our story begins.
So we're going to open with a kind of about a page of panels of montage over the course of a couple days of Alan in prison. Are there any particular scenes you want throughout that?
And when we're in the cells, or when I'm in the cells, do I have access to my powers, or is this a power dampening cell as well?
I think that we're going to go with like power dampening collars that all the inmates here are wearing.
I love it. Okay, so he somehow has gotten a baseball or a foam ball of some sort, and he is just tossing it. You're going to see a panel of him tossing it into the air, kind of passing the time. That's the only panel I really want.
Cool. I think we get a couple panels of like you in the mess eating, and like notably there's a lot of different villains that eyeing you the whole time. We get this like just several panels of you very alone, and a lot of villains talking about you nearby. And then we turn the page and we get you in your cell, and I think these cells are fairly large. They are once again like the glass front cells, and this has like 2 beds in it, but the other is unoccupied. And we get a guard opening the door and shoving in a person. Sword, why don't you go ahead and describe what you currently look like as you're shoved into this cell?
We've established that Sabre has access to those like glamour charm things. Alan has one that he uses to like hide the scarring when he's in school.
Like holograms?
Like, yeah, it's like a hologram.
That's how that works, right, Alan?
Hologram kind of thing. So he's currently got that, but you don't see it because it's like tucked under his shirt. He's still the like 6'1", broad-shouldered, black teenager, but his skin's a little bit darker. His hair is very, very different. Instead of being the like short buzz cut that he usually wears, it's like shaved mostly, except for like a ponytail right on like the peak of the head. He's got like neck tattoos leading up into a face tattoo of like a dragon's claw. The tattoos you can see like run down his arms too. Like basically his entire body is just covered in these tattoos.
And what do your hands currently look like?
I think we've got really, really basic, like mechanized hands. Very like classic prosthetic. They can close and open and stuff. The place where it attaches, you can see that like with the glamour, it looks like they're supposed to be like almost scales like tattooed on his arm. His whole like new aesthetic with this tattoo look is very dragon-y. And so you can see like scales tattooed that would be leading up to where hypothetically a claw would attach. But instead all you see is just like scales leading up to this like basic white porcelain, probably not porcelain, but like printed plastic hand.
And the cell closes behind you, and the guard walks off, leaving the two of you alone.
Alan is going to sit up in his bed. He was laying on his back, tossing the ball. And he sits up and says something to the effect of, "Hey, heads up," and tosses the ball at the newcomer.
I'm going to catch it and just like squish it. What type of ball did you say it is?
It's like a foam, rubbery ball.
Okay, so if it's foam and rubber, I probably can't like break it. But I catch it and then like squeeze it so it indents ever so slightly. And then I'm like, hands aren't as strong as they used to be.
Nothing is while we're in here. That seems about par for the course. Can I have my ball back?
Sure. And I toss the ball at you.
Alan's going to catch it with his left hand and just kind of toss it back and forth between his hands and say, "So, you're my new cellmate. What are you in here for?"
He's going to go to the door and like look around and see if like can anyone see into the cell from where we are?
Yeah, it is like a glass-fronted cell. You see the occasional guard walking like down the corridor, but no one is paying attention.
Can any other cells see into it, or is it just cells on the one side of the hallway?
Just cells on the one side.
Great. I'm going to reach down and tap the glamour just so it dissipates for like literally half a second. And so we see like all the tattoos and the all the tattoos disappears, the hair changes, the skin lightens slightly, and you see the sword standing there. And he smiles at Alan before tapping the glamour again, and then it pops back up. And then I think I'm going to sit on the opposite bed facing Alan and be like, hold my hand out for the ball.
Alan is gonna, toss the ball back and say, "Well, I didn't expect to see you in here." So, I assume Saber has a plan for us then?
Saber has a plan for me, but I didn't want to go in alone. So I suggested we reach out to you and see if you could help.
They're gonna put me to death. And as he says that, he lays back down and tosses the ball over towards over to Sword, and then continues, "I killed people. They're gonna put me to death."
I think the sword fully like belly laughs. That is like, oh, that was a good one. They're not gonna put you to death. You're gonna get like 28 days in jail, some community service, and probably a fine.
Alan turns his head and looks at the sword and goes, "I killed people, man. This is, I mean, isn't that what they do in all the movies? The super blows up something, kills people, and now they need to be made an example of."
Yeah, your example is gonna be 28 days in jail. You're a minor who did it on accident. Trust me, you'll be fine. Especially if you help me with this. I think I'm gonna like reach into like the inside of my shirt and pull out a news article. It's an article about like an increased number of ODs on Rainbow Howler, which is the drug that was introduced very, very briefly in Sword and Sight issue 2. And I'm gonna show it to you and toss it over.
Alan sits up and begins looking over the paper, and then looks at Sword and goes, "All right, so what are you wanting me to do? I'm kind of powerless," as he reaches up and points at the neck collar.
I think we get a panel showing that Sword is wearing that same collar.
I'm gonna lean down, just like, not like threateningly close, but just like a little bit closer. And then I'm gonna be like, you were still trained by Saber. You can fight without your powers. And that's what I'm counting on. We have some intel that leads me to believe that Rainbow Howler is moving through this prison, and I would love to know how to stop it. Or, take care of the problem.
So no light show. Pity. All right. Alan stands up and kind of stretches, and then is like, "All right, so no powers and a prison full of people who hate my guts. Great. When do we start?"
I think in the background of that panel, we hear a guard, or we see a caption with a guard yelling, "Lights out in 5 minutes."
I'm going to look at you and be like, we start right now. And then I'm going to punch him in the face.
Alan, what do you do?
Alan kind of falls back a little bit because he clearly was not expecting to get hit in the face, and then retaliates with a low kick.
Perfect. I think we get into a fight, just punching each other and stuff, enough to draw the attention of the guards. At least that's what I'm trying to do.
The guard runs over, starts banging on the cell, just like, "Cut it out, you two." What do y'all do?
Is he bleeding from where I punched him?
Yeah, my nose is bleeding.
Perfect. I want to grab him, not that aggressively, but aggressively enough for a good show, and slam his face into the cell door, just so there's a bunch of blood on the cell door.
Cool. Go ahead and roll to provoke.
Great. All right, not the worst. That's a 13.
Not the worst at all.
He throws open the door, grabs a taser, and lunges at you with the taser. What do you do?
I'm gonna let myself get tased.
You go down. His attention's completely on you. He pulls out a radio and starts calling for backup. Alan, what are you doing?
Right now, going through Alan's head he is complete, and you're going to see thought bubbles pop up. The thought bubbles is he's entirely wondering if he got hit with the taser, would it break the power collar? And if so, would he have access to his powers again? That's his thought process right there. And then he is going to.
Do you want to take a moment to assess?
I do, yeah, most
Go ahead and roll.
definitely. Okay.
That is a 9. So on a 7 to 9, ask 1.
I'm going to follow that thought up with what can I use to break the collar?
A long, like an extended hit from the taser directly on the collar would likely break it. Like it hitting you and coursing through your body isn't going to. You can feel insulation between you and the collar, but a tase directly to the collar would probably break it. What do you do?
Alan wants to hit the guard and in the same like motion take the taser from him.
Okay. I think that just happens. I mean, his attention's completely on Sword at this point.
Awesome. So he does that, and then he is going to tase himself. Tase the collar and take whatever damage that may cause.
Cool. So we get a couple panels of like electricity coursing through the collar, and then it explodes. I want you to go ahead and take a powerful blow.
Yay! Shit. That's a 9. +1 was from the insecure condition I have been carrying with me.
Okay. On a 7 to 9, choose one.
I'm going to lash out verbally. And I am going to basically scream profanity of some sort to see if I can cause Sword to do something full-heartedly.
What are you trying to get Sword to do?
I'm trying to get Sword to rush the guard into the doorway to keep the door open. So just in case they throw a lockdown on, it's going to prevent the doorway from shutting.
Cool. Roll to provoke.
That's a 10.
All right. So that is the carrot and the stick. To set the scene here, Sword's on the ground. The guard is kind of stumbled back. I think you got like a good hit in the stomach there, knocked the wind out of him. And the radio is on the ground. We can hear like another guard voice through the radio. Sword, what do you do?
I'm gonna go in the doorway. I'm gonna be in the doorway, but as I like go there, I'm gonna be kind of like loudly yelling, like, "I'm not gonna room with no SABRE punk. Not gonna do this. You can't make me stay with him," and like just be as loud and obnoxious as possible. I also, at this moment, use my move to ask SABRE for additional resources, equipment, or information. I want a small communicator to have been passed earlier. I want to have put it on the ball, so when I toss it to him, he has it now.
Okay, yeah, let's roll it, and then we can get like a little flashback scene. That is plus soldier, right?
Yep. That's a 9. On a hit, they'll resupply you as best as they can. On a 10 plus, the resources are highly classified or experimental. Take +1 ongoing. On a miss, agent sends what they think you need, regardless of what you actually requested. So on a hit, they'll resupply me as best as they can.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you've got the gadgets you need. Okay, I see what you're doing. But
Perfect.
I'm gonna ask Alan. Alan, do you think that fulfilled what you were trying to provoke Sword to do?
I think it would, yes.
Okay, so sorry, Sword. Go ahead and jump back in there.
So yeah, I'm in the doorway and I'm just like yelling and screaming, being like, "I can't be in the room with this SABRE punk. You can't make me stay here." Yelling a lot of profanities about SABRE and hoping to draw the attention of guards so we can get like the two of us split up.
And you said you were tossing that to.
Oh, I put that in the first time when I got the ball, I put the communicator on that. He just doesn't know that yet.
Okay, gotcha.
He'll find that out later.
Cool. And I think we get the guard like stumbling back out of the room, and then we get a siren going off because that has to happen. I think every issue of Cataclysm Crew. All the doors slam shut as everything goes into full lockdown. And I think our next panel is Sword being grabbed by a couple guards as they swoop into the area and being dragged off. Does that work? Or did you want to do something there?
Nope, that's good.
I wanted to ask and make clear that whenever I damaged the collar, did it remove the collar or the collar is still there? It's just damaged to the point where it doesn't do anything.
I think we're going to say it's damaged to the point it doesn't do anything for now. I think like we haven't like I'm going to retcon those explosion panels into like the insides of it exploding against your neck. I don't think anyone has noticed the scholar's off. If that was what you were asking.
That's exactly what I was asking.
Does anyone have a particular scene they want next?
Does Alan notice the communicator on the balls? He notice anything weird about it?
I was gonna call you once I was in solitary.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's jump to that then. I just to sword being thrown into a solitary and the thing slamming shut. And I think it's just a very small room with like a bench along the edge and just one of those like slidey bar vision things.
I'm gonna wait till it's all quiet around me, and then I'm gonna be like, "Good show, kid."
Kid, I'm older than you. He's noticed the ball.
I think we have like sword on the left side of this and Alan on the right side of this page, just panels in a column down.
Can I make a suggestion? Can we be like back to back? So like he's leaning against his wall and I'm leaning against mine.
I like it a lot.
And I'm like, the communicator on the ball should be small enough that you can take it off and like hide it in your hair or something so you can still hear me. We should be able to, chat through this, but, discretion. Only when we're alone.
So the first thing Alan's going to do in this regard is he's going to know, of course, he sees the communicator and he's been talking in it to Sword, but he's actually going to remove the communicator, and it apparently is tiny enough he can hide it behind his ear. And he just tucks it in behind his ear on that bone right there. And whenever he does that, he because he's now in prison, does he also have the glamour generator?
I don't think so.
Okay, so he would just be hiding it behind his ear, behind his hair. Since he's been gone for a little while, his hair has grown out a little bit to the point where he can hide it behind his ear and his hair. So, you're in solitaire, and I'm by myself again. Was this part of your plan?
Yeah, actually. The new kid's never going to be trustworthy, so had to beat up the kid that everyone else hates. So people like me more.
Fantastic. So, what now? You're the one with the plan. I'm just sitting here waiting to get out.
Wait till tomorrow when everyone's at lunch, and I'm going to try to infiltrate some stuff. And knowing SABRE, they'll keep me in solitary for a day. They'll increase the collar to a shock collar tomorrow, so by the time I'm back in your cell, I won't be able to do anything. And they'll put me back in to be with you. We can hatch the plan further from there, but right now I'm just trying to get information.
All right. I'll follow your lead. Also, don't worry too much about the collar. I think I can solve that problem.
I mean, the fact is I don't have any superpowers. I'm just, strong. So.
Oh, right. I forgot. Sorry.
That's fine.
You're going to hear the sound of the ball being tossed up and hitting the ceiling. It's like a thunk, thunk, thunk. So it's already lights out. I guess we'll speak again tomorrow.
Outside of Alan's cell, we see a guard pushing what looks like a laundry cart past the cell, and then we hear the sound stop. Alan, you can tell that they stop in the cell right next to yours. You hear the cell slide open and the laundry cart go in, and then the cell slides shut.
Alan sits up in his bed and kind of presses his head against the wall, since he would be assuming that the wall he's against would be the wall directly next to the cell.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to listen in and see if there's anything going on in there. And the ear he's pressing against the wall would be the ear with the communicator, so Sword would be able to hear whatever happens in the other room as well.
I want you to unleash your powers. That is a 10. So for a moment on the other side, you just hear a couple gentle snores. And then overlaid on top of that, you start hearing like hushed voices whispering. And as you try to make out the words, something like pushes back in your mind and you are back to hearing just like gentle snores. and try as you can. Like, you hear nothing but gentle snores from the side.
Alan leans away from the wall and he's like, wait, what? And then says something to the effect of, yeah, must be my imagination. And then he lays down and then whispers, not loudly, but loud enough for the communicator to hear. Says, did you hear anything in there outside of snoring? Fully aware that Sword may not understand completely what the hell he's talking about.
If you heard anything, it was just snoring.
It sounds like your neighbor has a cold.
Yeah. Yeah. And they probably think I'm crazy. He rolls over and covers himself up with whatever blanket he's got nearby.
So our next scene, I think, is an overhead shot of the crowded mess. And where are you two in there?
Alan will be sitting at a table by himself because no one wants to sit with him. And he is drinking his carton of milk. And it is tasty.
After we see the overhead shot, we get a close-up panel of Alan sitting alone. And then in the background of the next panel, we see like the doors swing open, and his name is Dragon. When he his fake name is Dragon. We see Dragon walking in, like cracking muscles, like huge and bold. And I think I just go and sit down at the table with like the roughest looking villain types.
Who's one person at table?
Mars is there.
Mars kind of gives you an eye as you sit down.
I'm gonna look at him and be like, what are you staring at?
I don't know you. What are you in for?
You know, the usual. Blowing up some buildings, fire, arson, attempted assassination.
He's kind of nodding along with all this. It's like, I heard what you did to Lightning Boy over there. I think we see him nodding towards Alan.
I'm gonna spit on the floor. And I'm like, they had me roomed in there with him. I'm like, I want to be in a room with some sort of fucking narc.
He kind of leans in. His tone gets low and conspiratorial. He's like, you still roomed with him?
Don't know yet. Guess we'll find out when it comes time to go back to the rooms. As of right now, I just got released from solitary. They'll tell me where to go when they shove my ass in there.
Well, if you are, I can get a hold of some. You can end him.
Oh, yeah?
He kind of leans back a bit and goes, yeah, you just let me know.
Will do. Alright, so who do I gotta know around here? I've only been in Moon Harbor for a couple weeks. Just moved here from Halcyon City, so...
What are you looking for?
I don't know. Way to pass the time. I like to, go on trips, if you get my meaning.
Go ahead and provoke.
Yeah, I figured that much. Cute.
That was a 4.
Yep.
He leans forward to say something, and then behind him, we see a fight break out. And this quickly turns into just a full-on riot in the mess hall. And I think we get Sword stepping back, and then just let's go with a big old werewolfy fist. That's all we see of it. Hits you in the face. I want you to take a powerful blow.
That's a 10. I think it knocks me out. I think that's the last panel we see of this scene before I get knocked to the face and black out.
Yeah, I think we get you getting hit. Or I think we get a panel of from your perspective, seeing this fist come at you, and then just black. And Alan, what are you doing during all this?
So Alan, of course, has noticed the fight go on, and he is first thing he's doing, he's abandoning the table, and he is attempting to get across the room back to where the guards would be coming in, and to the side to let them by, so that he doesn't get in the fight if at all possible. He's trying to do his best to, one, not get himself killed, and two, if he ends up in a dangerous situation, not reveal that he does have his powers back.
Okay, I think we get the guards filing in past you and starting to tase and try to quell this riot. And for a moment, we see the door they came in through still open a bit. Are you interested, or you staying here?
Alan is definitely interested. He's most definitely eyeing the door, and he wants to eye the corridor and kind of get an idea. How well does Alan know the layout of the prison?
You've been here for a few days, so any of the areas that like you would commonly go through throughout your day, you know really well.
Alan wants to take note of any security cameras in the mess hall and in the hall.
Go ahead and give me an assess. Just to
Solid.
get the whole lay of the land here.
That was a 6.
You do have one team if you want to use team selfishly.
I think I will. I think I will use team selfishly. Make that a 7.
How can we put Sword in more danger here?
If I could see, the cameras at least to a point, I was going to, because they're not really paying too much attention to me. I wanted to cause a static burst that would disable the cameras. I was also going to try specifically to make it appear as if it wasn't something I did, but most definitely take out the cameras, which of course would probably leave Sword in a bit more danger because there's now no command center watching.
Yeah, it just kind of escalates the entire situation. I'm fine with that. Cool. So that's a 7. So before we get to that, like all happening, go ahead and ask your question.
What gear can I use to disable the camera system so that I can get into a different section of the facility? Mainly, I'm seeking to go and check out the room that the neighboring cell to see if any indication of like a laundry cart or anything.
Are you taking out the cameras across the full like complex or just along your way?
That's the idea, the full complex.
Cool. I'm going to go ahead and have you unleash your powers then, but go ahead and take a +1 forward from the assess.
Awesome. That, for the record, was a 12.
We think we get a series of panels of like your electricity arcing out and then just cameras across the complex just popping. Yeah, you've got a clear path. So you said you're heading back towards your cell or the cell next to yours?
I was going to head there, and then I was going to head to the laundry room to see if there was any indication as to any of those drugs being, any indication as to anything related to that drug going around.
Where do you want to go first?
First place I want to go is the laundry room, then I will go to the cell. And that way, if I get caught up there, I can say, I was just heading back to my cell. I'm sorry.
Awesome. Cool. We get you darting down the corridors towards your cell. And I think we're going to cut back to Sword. And the panel is like Sword knocked out on the ground. And we're just seeing like tons of feet moving around as there's just a full-on brawl. And then our next panel, Sword opens his eyes. Sword, what are you doing?
Is there a table nearby me?
Sure.
I'm just going to try to get under the table.
Yeah, I think we get you rolling under the table. There's a moment where you're now protected. What do you want to do from here?
I'm gonna quickly my communicator is in the connection between my wrist and my hand, and I'm gonna lean down and be like, "So, did that get you anything?"
Give me a minute and I'll find out. Headed to the laundry room right now. And I was gonna say the panel that you're gonna see is him running down the hallway. Again, trying to not show off that he's got his powers, because he does know the location, and through a burn, he honestly could teleport there directly. But he's running, being all mundane and shit.
Yeah, and I think at the panel where you're responding, we see you right outside the door to the laundry room.
And he's going to basically go into the laundry room and start looking through through the laundry baskets that are in the room, and see if there's anything he notices, which I'm assuming would be an assessed situation.
I'm not going to have you roll. We get the panels of you starting to do that. Sword, what are you doing during this time?
Once I know he's doing something, I'm kind of bound and determined to make sure this fight keeps happening. So I'm going to roll out the other side and then just flip the table into the mass chaos.
Awesome. I want you to give me a directly engage.
Great.
against just the riot in general. Oh my god.
That
a
was
one.
adorable.
That is a 1, everyone. And I just got my most recent, or my first, actually, advancement track.
So we get the panel of you flipping this table into the crowd, and it is about to hit a bunch of people, and then it's caught with one hand by Poison Oak, who just swings and, like, swinging it like a bat, it slams it into Sword, and Sword goes flying across the mess, hitting the wall on the far side. Go ahead and just mark a condition, and we're going to cut back over to Alan. What are you marking?
I think I'm going to mark angry.
In our next panel, I think it's Alan with all these laundry carts, most of them empty, like various bits of clothing everywhere. And so you come up with these like 2 small fragments of like green crystal that you found at the bottom of one of the carts.
Are they in baggies or anything?
No, they seem to just be like slivers that have broken off. When you touch them, you feel like just the slightest amount of a strange energy like course through your arm. It only lasts a moment.
Fantastic. I think the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap a cloth around these 2 crystals in order to prevent them from touching my skin, to not have that weird sensation anymore. I'm going to look out of the laundry room to see if there are any guards coming down the hallway, and then make my way back to the cells.
Okay. Yeah, the hallways are fairly empty. Like, it is all alerts in the cafeteria at the moment. And we're going to cut back to Sword. After you hit this wall, we're going to cut back to you, like, getting to your feet from this wall. And Poison Oak is advancing on you. He's taken this table thing very personally.
Can I make a suggestion about where I land?
Sure.
I'm thinking about taking the advancement, undergo enhancement, take 2 new abilities, and I'm thinking about taking an alternate/monstrous form as one of my 2 new abilities. I was kind of thinking I hit the wall and then fall and land in a laundry basket that's underneath, and like get stabbed in the chest with one of the crystals.
I'm okay with that.
I don't know what that monstrous form is going to look like, but I kind of like the idea that this crystal will give me this monstrous form later.
Cool. I'm into it.
And then I stand up and I'm bleeding from like this gaping wound in my chest where there was a crystal a second ago, but it has since like dissolved into my body. And I'm like trying to catch my breath, trying to get the wind back. And then I look up and Poison Oak is right there. I think I'm just going to like try to like duck and roll, try to get out of the way.
Couldn't give me a defend. So he just swings his massive fists at you.
That's a 9.
All right. Do you want to expose yourself to danger or escalate the situation?
I feel like if I'm defending myself, I can't expose myself to danger.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
So I guess I have to escalate the situation. I think I like jump up and like brace my arms against the wall and then just push the laundry cart at Poison Oak's knees and like knock him into the laundry cart and then like knock the laundry cart into the fight itself.
Okay.
And as I'm doing that, I think it gets knocked over and a bunch of the crystals come spilling out.
And I think I'm going to add that this like refocusing of the fight seems like the prison guards are now starting to get the upper hand. Your goal was to keep this revved and going, so I think escalation might be a bit of de-escalation in the long run here. Yeah, they are starting to get this under control.
Cool.
Where are you dodging to? Like, are you staying here in this fight? What are you doing?
I think I'm just like falling down and like touching the like gaping hole in my chest and like looking at the blood on my hands and just like trying not to pass out.
Okay, cool.
I imagine that this crystal was like 4 inches long and like stabbed into my chest.
I wasn't even trying to be that mean, but I like it. So we're going to cut back to Alan. And I think, Alan, we get the panel of you turning the corner so you can see down the hallway that leads to like your cell and the cell next to yours. And we see that same guard from before pushing a laundry cart. He turns into the cell next to yours. What do you do?
Alan is going to rush towards, like, run up to the cell. He's going to run up to his cell first. He's going to touch the door and shock the lock to open his own cell door. I want to have a panel where Alan takes the crystals out from the blankets or the cloth that he has stashed them in, and I want him to, using the cloth to prevent himself from touching it, I want him to push the crystals into the foam ball that he's holding in order to keep them hidden out of plain sight. And then he's going to kind of stand at the wall and kind of peer into the glass, into the window of that cell next to his, to see exactly what's going on and hope the guard that just walked in there didn't notice.
When you look in through the cell, it appears completely empty.
You're going to see a speech bubble, and he's going to say is, the hell? And then he's going to reach across, touch the door, or touch the door mechanism and zap it to unlock it, and see what he sees when the door opens.
When you open the door, the first thing you see is on one of the beds, a small man who is under the blanket, like, pops his head up. He's like, "What the hell? I'm trying to get a nap here." And you recognize this guy as the guy who's in the cell next to you. You just have heard him called Herschel.
I'm gonna look around the cell room and be like, where? And then look at Herschel and go, "Where'd he go? He was just here. Where did he go?"
He gives you a little bit of a frown. He's like, What are you talking about, friend?" And do you want to pierce the mask or assess here?
I want to pierce the mask because I think Herschel knows something that I want to know.
Okay. Roll plus mundane.
That was a 2 for the record.
I think we get a panel of you, like, squinting at him a bit, and then you get a blinding headache for a moment. I want you to take a condition and pick a question off the list.
I'm going to take hopeless, as that would kind of signify the strangeness of what this situation is.
Okay.
And then as far as the pierce the mask, I want to ask, what are you really planning?
After the, like, pain fades for a moment, for just a second, you see what's actually happening in the room. And you see that guard pushing the cart, and you see a woman with, like, tan skin and dark hair holding one of those crystals, and you see this energy pulsing through her hands, and it, like, glowing brighter and brighter, and then it snaps back so you're seeing, once again, the empty cell with just Herschel. And he meets your eyes and goes, "You didn't see nothing. Get out of here."
Alan is going to kind of, like, grab his head a little bit from the pain and kind of back off and go, yeah, you're right. Sorry I interfered. And then he's going to slip back into his cell and kind of just sit and wait and see what happens when the guards finally arrive to bring, if they bring Sword back this direction.
So our next panel is Dragon, laid out on the table. I think at this point you're feeling, it's been a day or two, feeling a bit better, not great. And Alan needs to be undercover for this.
I think she comes in as a nurse.
That works. We get her checking your vitals and leaning down. It's like, "What the hell were you doing, Sword? A riot?"
I'm still pretty weak, and there's, like, bandages all over my chest, and I'm like, I didn't start the riot. I escalated it, but I didn't start it. And I think my eyes are closed. My eyes are closed for this entire scene. They'll open in a second, but they're closed for now.
Okay. Did you make any progress? Did you figure anything out?
Yeah, laundry. The laundry carts are being used to transport. I think the guards are in on it. I'll get more information from Alan when I can.
Yeah, that's great too, but Can we trust him?
Yeah, we can. He's an idiot, but he's an idiot who's on our side. Yeah, I think Outlet leaves, and as soon as Outlet's gone, you see me like pull myself up, and then I like open my eyes, and my eyes were always green, but when I open my eyes, they are green and like reptilian.
Moon Harbor Heroes is produced by Anthony Sheets and TP Huth, and edited by Anthony Sheets. Anthony can be found on Twitter at IcyNewYear or at IcyNewYear.com. T is the host of Incubator on Air, a new play podcast available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and Google Play. She can be found at T Huth Playwright on Twitter or TPHuth94 on Instagram. This issue was GM'd by me, Anthony Sheets. The Sword was played by TP Huth. Taranis was played by Kaido Kane. Kaido is a Twitch personality and loves their 3 mischievous cats. You can find them at the Versian on Twitter, and as Kaido Kane on twitch.tv. Our logo was designed by Beautiful Beasties. She can be found on Instagram at beastly.doodles or at patreon.com/beautifulbeasties. The music of this issue is Mistake the Getaway by Kevin MacLeod. A link to his website and the license will be in the show notes. If you want to get a hold of us, email us at moonharborheroes@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at moonharborcast. If you enjoyed this issue, please leave us a review on iTunes and tell a friend. Word of mouth and 5-star reviews are really the best way for us to keep bringing these stories to more people. If you'd like to support us financially, check us out on patreon.com/moonharborheroes. Supporting us there will give you access to bonus episodes each month. And thanks for helping us save the world. We'll see you next issue.